Chapter 13. You can't marry a man you just met. Elsa's words echoed in Anna's ears. She wanted to scream. She wanted to throw things and make a scene that would have people all over the kingdom talking for years to come. She wanted to grab her sister by the shoulders and shake her and beg her to be human. Beg her to understand that this was all Anna wanted in the world. But Anna knew she couldn't do any of those things. No matter how much she might want to let loose all the frustration and sadness that had been building for years, she would never do that to Elsa. She would never really make a scene and ruin Elsa's coronation. And yet she couldn't help wondering. Elsa had spent years denying Anna the love of a sister. Why did she have to deny her this too? Maybe that's the problem, Anna thought, suddenly hopeful. Maybe Elsa just doesn't know what Hans and I have. Maybe I just need to tell her. You can't have his true love, she said, trying to keep her voice even despite the emotions raging through her body. Anna, Elsa said, what do you know about true love? More than you, Anna snapped, suddenly furious. Had her sister seriously just questioned what Anna knew about true love? What did Elsa know about true love? At least Anna had been among the living since their parents died. She hadn't shut herself away from everyone and everything. Anna could feel her anger at her sister growing. I was the one who kept trying, Anna thought. Every day when we were younger, I was the one who went and stood in front of her door and begged her to play with me. I was the one who tried to coax her out for silly games and bike rides around the castle. And every time, it was Elsa that turned me down cold. It was Elsa who offered me nothing. I always wanted my sister back. I always wanted her to love me. She was the one who couldn't have cared less. If not for the crowd that had slowly come closer and closer, Anna might have screamed her thoughts at her sister. How dare Elsa tell her what she could and couldn't do? After all these years of ignoring her, why did Elsa even care what Anna did with her life? Staring at her sister's ice-cold expression, she tried to understand how they had gotten to this point. Weren't sisters supposed to be happy for each other at times like this? Did Elsa really not understand how much Anna needed this? I just want to feel the happiness that comes with trusting someone with your whole heart. I want to know what it feels like to be with someone who wants to be with me, who doesn't turn away from me. Why? She asked Elsa silently, looking into her sister's eyes. Why is that so hard to understand? Why can't I find out what true love is, even if you don't want to? Anna was sure there must be a way to change Elsa's mind, but when her sister finally spoke, her words broke Anna's heart all over again. You asked for my blessing, but my answer is no. Elsa turned to go. Now excuse me. Anna had been so caught up in her anger at Elsa that she had almost forgotten Hans was still at her side. To her relief, he stepped forward and tried to support her. Your Majesty, he said, grabbing onto Elsa's arm, if I may ease your... No, you may not, Elsa said, cutting Hans off, and I think you should go. Ripping her arm free, she once again turned to leave. Passing by Kai, she paused only long enough to add, the party is over. Close the gates. Close the gates? No! Anna screamed silently. This wasn't over. The party wasn't over. Her time with Hans couldn't be over. If the gates closed, she knew she would never see her prince again. She would be stuck inside the castle with a sister who refused to speak to her. She'd be lonely forever. Wait! Anna shouted. She reached for her sister's hand, but all she managed to do was pull off Elsa's long glove. Elsa's reaction was swift. She spun around, and Anna saw that her sister's face had grown pale, and she had begun to shake. It was as though Anna had chilled her sister to the bone, not just removed a single glove. Elsa reached out desperately. Give me my glove, she pleaded. Anna shook her head, and she felt tears well up in her eyes. She didn't want to fight with her sister. Just a few hours earlier, she had truly thought there was hope of salvaging the relationship. It would start with laughing over the Duke of Wesselton, and then a shared secret, perhaps, and then voila, they would be true sisters again. And now, she honestly didn't know what was worse. Her sister denying Anna's happiness, or the fact that if Elsa didn't change her mind, Anna would never be able to forgive her. Elsa, please, Anna begged. Please, I can't live like this anymore. Elsa's eyes filled with tears. Then leave, she said, her voice weak. Turning, she once again began to rush away. Anna recoiled, the words hitting her like a slap across the face. All the anger and sadness she had been holding back poured out of her. What did I ever do to you? She shouted to her sisters retreating back. Her words echoed over the ballroom, which had gone silent, all eyes on the sisters. Enough, Anna, Elsa whispered harshly. No! Anna was done suffering silently, done with the thousand unanswered questions. She wasn't going to let Elsa cut her out of her life without first getting some answers. Why do you shut me out? Why do you shut the world out? What are you so afraid of? The questions tumbled out of her mouth, one running into the other. I said, enough! And then, as Anna watched in horror, a stream of ice shot out of Elsa's hand. Within seconds, huge, sharp spikes of ice littered the floor. Guests cried out in shock. Some tried to run away, while others clung to one another. Sorcery! Anna heard the Duke of Wesselton say as he ducked behind his men. I knew there was something dubious going on here. Anna looked over at her sister, all thoughts of a wedding gone. Surely she couldn't have seen what she thought she'd seen, yet ice was still trailing from the tips of Elsa's fingers. And the look of pain on Elsa's face was almost too much for Anna to bear. Elsa, she said softly. For one brief moment, the sisters' eyes met, and then Elsa turned and ran. Anna watched her sister race away. What have I done? How could I have been so blind? Anna thought as she chased after her sister. This way Elsa has always been so scared to be near me. Was she scared I would see her powers? How long has she even had these powers? Did Mama and Papa know? Is that why they kept us hidden behind the castle gates? The questions kept coming as Anna ran after her sister. All her anger had faded in the moment Elsa had revealed her powers. It made so much sense now. Her sister's coldness, her isolation. And here I was thinking I was the lonely one. I can't begin to imagine what life must have been like for Elsa all these years. I'm sure Mama and Papa told her never to speak of this, which makes sense, but didn't want people to fear her. Anna grimaced. It had taken the Duke only seconds to label Elsa a sorceress. What else might people be thinking of her? Anna had to go after her sister. Elsa needed her help. As she made her way out of the castle, Anna could see just how right she was. Everywhere she looked, things had been frozen over. July had turned to December in mere moments. The staircase leading down from the castle was slick, ice covering each step. Below, she saw that the fountain spray was now solid. Coins glinted at the fountain's bottom under a thick layer of ice. And then, as Anna watched in disbelief, snow began to fall from the sky. In the distance, she could see Elsa running toward the gates of the kingdom. Monster! Monster! Scanning the crowd below, Anna saw the Duke standing with his men. Anna realized the men were scared of Elsa. They were all rubbing their backsides while they shouted curses at her sisters retreating back. I hope they fell down the stairs, Anna thought. No one calls my sister a monster. Anna made her way down the staircase as quickly and carefully as she could. She was vaguely aware of Hans's voice calling her name, but she didn't care. She needed to reach her sister. Elsa! She called as she ran. Elsa! Wait! Elsa was already down at the fjord's edge. Pausing, she looked back, and Anna felt a flash of hope that this could end right here and now. But then her sister turned back and tentatively stepped onto the fjord. Instantly, the water beneath her feet froze. She took another step and then another, each one faster than the last. Anna, not as sure-footed, slipped on the ice and fell. She watched in despair as Elsa made it to the far side of the fjord and then disappeared into the trees. No, Anna said, looking down at the single glove still clutched in her hand. This was all her fault. If she hadn't pushed Elsa... Anna! Hans shouted as he reached her side. Sinking to the ground next to her, he put his arms around her, but Anna barely registered it. All she could see was a frozen fjord. All she could think about was her sister, racing away into the mountains as someone called her a monster. Are you all right? Hans asked again. He had been asking Anna over and over again since they had left the fjord and made their way back to the safety of the castle. A part of Anna realized it was sweet of him to be worried, but another part, a larger part, could only think about Elsa and wish he would just go away. She needed time to think. No, she finally said, As they passed through the panicking crowd, she could hear people murmuring, "How can this be?" And "Snow," and "It's July." Already it was getting colder, the snow beginning to pile up. "Did you know?" Hans asked, trying to pull Anna out of her shock. She shook her head. "No? And what kind of sister does that make me?" "A horrible one, that's what kind." The Duke of Wesselton's panicked shouts broke through Anna's thoughts. "The Queen has cursed this land. She must be stopped." He turned to his men. "You have to go after her." "No, no, no." If the Duke's men went after Elsa, there was no telling what they would do. "I made this happen," Anna thought as she pulled free of Hans and raced over to the Duke. When he saw her, the little man let out a squeak and ducked behind two of his men. "You!" he shouted. "Is there a sorcerer in you too? Are you a monster too?" Anna tried not to roll her eyes. The Duke was an imbecile. "No," she said, "I'm completely ordinary." "That's right, she is," Hans said, stepping up beside her. "In the best way," he clarified. For the first time since ice had shot from her sister's fingers, Anna smiled. She had forgotten how this whole thing had started. The marriage, true love. It was nice to have someone in her corner, but now Elsa needed someone in her corner. "My sister's not a monster," Anna announced. The Duke pointed at the staircase. "She nearly killed me." "You slipped on ice," Hans corrected him. "It was an accident," Anna said, though she had to admit it made her a little bit happy to know the Duke had indeed taken a tumble. She was scared. She didn't mean it. She didn't mean any of this. Anna gestured to the courtyard, which now resembled a skating rink. "Tonight was my fault, so I'm the one needs to go after her." "Fine," the Duke retorted. "Do." Anna didn't bother to respond. She made up her mind before the words were even out of her mouth. Nothing anyone could have said would have made a difference. But there was one person here she wanted to reassure. Putting a hand gently on Hans's arm, she gave him a squeeze. "Elsa's not dangerous," she said softly. "I'll bring her back, and I'll make this right. Until then, I need you here to take care of Arendelle."